Well, let's see what's new with the green machine. Well, nothing's new because these cars don't work on themselves. And this is where I left off. I got the insulation back here in the rear done, and I have only one of the nails that really supports it coming through there. So I'm gonna add the rest of the holes and the nails and the push nuts. That'll finish up the back insulation. And then I still gotta do the sides. And also there's insulation that goes here on the rear. Let's carry forward. For this part, I'm just poking this very sharp blade all the way through, right there in the center, and then I'm kind of cutting from both sides so that the hole doesn't, get outrageously big. So that's the tip of the blade right there on my finger. So now I know where the hole is. I can work it from both sides and make sure we get the nail through. It only needs to be big enough for the nail to go through. I don't want to use a drill bit here because that would probably grab all that jute hair and just wind it up around the bits. It's just a nail with a washer on the end of it. This is the primary means to support this pad here. It sort of tucks in and holds itself in, but when the engine gets hot and you're in hot weather or something like that, this tends to get droopy, and so these nails and washers will keep it in. No glue is used here on the back. Just marking these a little shorter. And I'm taking these nails that have been shortened over here, kind of back in the dungeon. This is where I'm going to grind the heads of these, so they're just a little bit domed. Everything here is pushed through. There are 7 along the top. Fender washers, push nuts, and then there's 4 more along the bottom here. And I haven't put the push nuts on yet because I actually ran out of the correct washers. Here's how it looks from inside the car. There's the 7 along the top there. And then down here in the dark, a little hard to see, but there's the 4 holes there on the back. If your insulation's falling down like mine was, it's probably because those pins or the nails aren't in there. The 7 along the top should prevent that thing from falling down. So I think a lot of times what happens, like the case in my car, it had been reupholstered by someone in the past. And the upholstery guy just removes all the nails, does the interior, and never puts the nuts back on the engine bay side, and the thing just falls down because there's no glue. Okay, now I'm just taking, these screws, which happen to be number 4 screws. I am making sure they thread into all these holes. This is the piece that goes here on the back, from the inside. And it already has these cutouts for, I guess that's to get to the back of the taillights. And then this is where the latch is. So I just want to pre-fit this. There's a cable release on the inside of the trunk, and there's no hole in it for that. So I need to mark where that goes and kind of snake that through so the cable can get through there. But let's see how it fits as is, and we'll start getting this down in here. So this does screw here to the back. That's why I checked those holes. And the first impression, it feels a little bit long. So I can feel the hole here for the taillight, and that feels like it's kind of centered here. But this is almost interfering, I guess, with this side pad, and I might have mounted this pad a little too far towards the rear, but I really liked how, in this case, the rear insulation pad on the firewall, I really like how it tucked behind there. I didn't think it was going to fold quick enough to get on top of that. So probably what I'll have to do, and the safest thing to do, would be to trim back this jute material a little bit. And I've just put the side pad in real quick just to get a rough estimate of where it falls here in the corner. So it goes right down to the very, very corner. That hole doesn't get obscured by the side panel. And then I just put a little bit of tape right here. That's where I think the side panel ends, right about there. So just good to know. So I know that this is gonna fit kind of over the top of the rear panel. These go in last, I believe. Yeah, that's much better. Now we can position it right there. And then the side panel will cover that. Okay, let's hope that we can get that tube through that little slot right there. I think it'll work. So the tar paper is painted on the far side. So I'm not worried about it staining the paper because it's not going to go through the paint. I'm just going to put a light coating of oil here where I need it to bend, mostly here in this corner. And then with a little bit of heat, I'm just trying to avoid tearing this part. It's already soaking up the oil. It's naturally based on oil. I hope this is all right. Once it tears, it tears. So I ran into that problem with the gas tank pad. I'll do a little pre-bending just to get a flavor for how flexible it is with a little bit of heat too. put a little red line. It goes down probably 3/8 of an inch or so. And in order for this to do this compound curve, you can't have it do a Z in this sharp corner. At least it's going to be difficult. I mean, it'll bend like that. See, this side will go all the way down like that, but the screws go into this panel, not this one right here. So you want to screw it down, not really into a Z. So in order to make it fold in this complex curve right here, I'm gonna cut some of the tar paper away. That's going to relieve a lot of the stress and allow it to fold down. All right, we're ready to glue. This is the relief cut that I made. I think that's the only way to get it in there. I'm not sure how the factory one was because my original piece was long gone. Okay, here we go. So here it is installed. It's looking good right here where the tube is. This is the part that was relieved, and it looks like it's too short right here, but in reality, the other side panel actually comes all the way out to right here. That shares the same screw, so the other piece will come up and cover that, because I did trim it quite a bit just to be able to make it to bend over. In order to do that, I was taping it the whole time. I may put a little contact cement on this, and it did start to tear right there. So I might touch that up with a little bit of tar, just on that edge right there. But this is the next piece to go in, and this is for the horizontal shelf. I put it in there, and it fits perfect. There's no trimming required on this. The only thing I want to do to this, which is probably overkill, but it has this tan jute material showing, and it's pretty obvious in the engine bay. So I think I'm going to paint this just edge right here black. I'm going to try a little bit on the back side just to see what happens. Just dab this in there. So that's how this piece looks in the car. It's just sitting in there. It's gonna, of course, get glued down. These are not the correct screws, by the way. Those are just temporary to hold this down while it's, you know, cooling down. The other thing I did to the side panel jute is I thinned it out a little bit on the edge that's visible, or to make the side panels fit a little better. So I'm going to use this 80 grit disc to try to knock some of the height down on that so it doesn't appear so bulky on the edge. This edge is painted too, so it makes it a little easier to thin it down when it's got some little bit of stiffness to it, dried paint on it. When this glues down, it's going to appear a lot thinner on this edge. This is the side that the engine's on. And if you compare it to the thickness of this side, this is not painted. Actually, this section right here is a little bit painted because I tried the paint on that. But it's about half the thickness. And when I glue this down and put pressure on it, it's going to appear a lot closer to the original, I think. Time for more glue. All right, I got a little bit of glue here in a syringe, only because right at the edge, I didn't want to put too much glue on the paint. So this allows me to apply it right where it needs to be, right on the edge. Now here it is, mostly glued in, or actually all the way glued in. We don't want water getting underneath there as much as possible, so I wanted this edge to be really tight, which it is. Like I said before, these are the last pieces to go in, so I'm hoping they don't need too much trimming. They definitely need the holes poked here on the top edge. That's where it gets screwed in. And then there's some tabs on the engine tray to kind of hold the base in. So this should be the last piece. More screws that hold it against the body. But this part wraps around like it should. They got two kinds of finish washers. One is like a conventional finish washer. It has a cup that goes all the way down to the surface. And this one is from an upholstery shop. It's a little different. It doesn't have a cup that goes all the way down, so it doesn't dig into the tar paper. So I think I'm going to use these instead of these. They're both for a number 4 screw, which is this one right here. And the screw has like an oval head to it. So that's what I'm going to use. All right, this side panel is in, and I really like it. It fits really well here against the back. I know it's kind of dark in here, but it fits really nicely in the back. And I'm still keeping the tape on because this side panel tends to get kind of wavy between the screws. So I think if I leave it here with the tape on, and like even in this corner, I got that little paper clip on there, you know, that's keeping it tight against the car. And I'm hoping it, you know, over time will just keep us set like that. Here's another look at how this edge laid down. It really did stick nicely to the car, and it's a little lumpy there, but that's because there's a depression in the sheet metals. Thank you all for watching. If anyone has any ideas on those big fender washers that hold the rear firewall up, should they be black or should they be, you know, the silver? That's one of the questions. I've seen it both ways in cars. And the other question is, you know, do you like the video? If so, make sure you give it a like and come back next week. We'll be doing something probably in the trunk area with the gas tank, get the gas tank installed. So that much closer to getting the engine in this thing, I can't wait.